And welcome back. I have some big news to share with you guys because home sold prices have decreased by 1.2% compared to 12 months ago. This may not sound like a lot, but this 1.2% decrease in home prices nationwide is actually the biggest amount going back to 2012. The biggest decrease in more than 1 decade. Now here's a kicker though, because even though home prices have been decreasing, housing affordability is at its worst levels, the lowest levels of housing affordability on record according to data from Redfin. So again, I have a lot to share in today's video. Let's go ahead and dive right in. But of course, first, if you guys are looking for a real estate agent referral, where you're looking to buy or sell a home, then check out that link below, which is homeandmoney.com/Jason to get started today. And I have a lot to share today. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is a new report that was just published on March 9th by Redfin. It says elevated mortgage rates along with prices that remain high despite posting a 1% annual drop push monthly housing payments to a new record high. That's dampening home buying demand and preventing many would-be home sellers to list their homes for sale. So for example, on the buy side, the typical average monthly housing payment for would-be home buyers is an all-time record high of $2,563 per month. That's up 29% from a year ago when the average monthly housing payment was just under $2,000. So rising mortgage rates sent monthly payments to new heights this week, despite home prices decreasing. So home prices are down by about 12% compared to June last year. But despite the fact that prices have been decreasing, we're at all-time record highs for average monthly housing payments. And this, of course, is because mortgage rates have been absolutely surging over the past 40 days or so, going from about 6% from just 1 month ago. Now they're hovering around 7%. Also, check this out, because a home buyer on a $2,500 per month budget can afford a $376,000 home today based on today's average rate. That's down from the $400,000 home that a home buyer could afford to buy 1 month ago. That's because average rates were about 6% just 1 month ago. Now they're hovering to around 7%. So for someone looking to buy a home who has a $2,500 per month budget, they now can only afford a $376,000 home versus $400,000 just 1 month ago. And by the way, I believe that Redfin's looking at Freddie Mac's average rates, which was actually just announced today on the 9th. Freddie Mac says the average 30-year fixed rate is at 6.73%. So many would-be home buyers continue to face the compounding challenges of housing affordability and low inventory levels. So at 6.73%, and if you guys follow the channel, this is based on a weekly survey that Freddie Mac conducts. But what I personally like looking at is average daily rates according to the Mortgage News Daily. So as of today, the average rate's at 7% for people with exceptional credit. However, look at this, Investopedia.com is reporting average rates as of today is at 7.20%. So when looking at this chart below right here, the figures are actually a lot worse than this $376,000 home that you could afford to buy with a $2,500 payment with today's rates. So looking at actual today's rates based on a daily rate at around 7% is right there. So a $2,500 payment at 7%, you only can qualify for a $368,750 home. At 7% rate, $368,000. Look at this though, because back in, January 2021, as well as more or less August of 2021, your average rate was around 2.75%. So at 2.57%, again, going with that $2,500 per month budget, back then you could qualify for a $529,000 home, whereas today you're only going to qualify for a $368,000 home. If your housing budget is $3,000 per month, you can't afford to buy a $442,000 home. With a $3,500 per month budget, you can afford to buy a $516,000 home. But if your budget's only $2,000 per month, you're looking at a $295,000 home. Which, by the way, this chart right here assumes a 20% down payment, also at 1.25% property tax and a 0.5% homeowners insurance rate and no HOA dues. Here's something else I also want to mention as well, because if your housing budget is $2,000 per month at 7%, again, that's a $295,000 home. Just 1 month ago, when the average rate was about 6%, look at this. Back then, which is just 30 days ago, just 1 month ago, you could afford to buy a $320,000 house. In other words, over the last 1 month, that's a decrease of $25,000 due to the fact that rates have increased approximately 1 percentage point over the last 30 days. And again, the reason why I'm mentioning this is that even though home prices are down compared to 12 months ago, this giant surge in rates over the past month is definitely putting home buyers against the wall, and of course is decreasing housing affordability. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about home prices in the US. This actually covers the 4 weeks ended March 5th, by the way. So the median sold price is at $352,000, just under $353,000, and that's down 1.2% from a year earlier. The biggest decline in more than a decade goes back to 2012, which, by the way, the last time that home prices decreased on a year-over-year basis was way back in February of 2012. And at that time, they decreased by 1.5%. Now we're down by 1.2%. Additionally, home sold prices decreased in 23 of the 50 most populous US metros. So when looking at the 50 most populous US metros, nearly half of those metros are reporting decreases on a year-over-year basis for home sold prices. The biggest drops were actually in San Jose, California. Look at that, down by 14.6% compared to 2022 at this time. And that was followed by San Francisco, decreasing by 12.2%. Austin, Texas, down by 12% as well. Oakland, California, just east of San Francisco, down by almost 11%. And Phoenix, Arizona, down by 8.3%. Additionally, that's the biggest sale price drop on record for all 5 of those metros. This is big news because last week I reported to you guys that Redfin noted that home sold prices decreased by 0.6%, the first time that home prices had decreased on a yearly basis going back to 2012. But right now, a decrease of 1.2%, the second consecutive week that they're reporting decreases in home sold prices in the US. And here's a chart showing the median sold price in the US, again down by 1% compared to the same time frame of 2022. So March 5th, look at this, March 5th, let's just call it March 6th of 2022. Look at that. 1 year ago, home sold prices increased by 16% compared to 2021. Now we're down by 1%. So one thing I do want to mention though is that even though we're down by 1%, prices have been increasing for the past more or less 3 consecutive weeks, but not at the rate of increase we saw back in 2022. Obviously, back in 2022, a lot of people were looking to buy a home at a 4% rate before rates increased further, right? And that caused home prices to absolutely surge all the way until May and June last year. So home prices absolutely surged last year, but this year they are increasing, but not at the same rate as 2022. And going back to Redfin's report here, they also touch on the cities in which home sold prices have increased the most. Milwaukee, Wisconsin led the nation with a 10.4% increase in home sold prices. That was followed by West Palm Beach, Florida, a gain of 10.3%, Columbus, Ohio, a gain of 8.4%, Miami, Florida, up by 7%, and Virginia Beach, Virginia, up by 6.4%. Again, having said that, nearly half of the 50 most populous metros are reporting decreases in home prices compared to 12 months ago. And the main reason for that is this increase in rates, which is causing a lack of housing affordability. And speaking of that, the monthly mortgage payment on the median asking price home, this would be the future housing payment of home buyers looking to buy an average price home today. That's again at $2,563 per month, an interest rate of 6.73% based on today's rates, which is what Fannie Mae, or actually Freddie Mac's reporting here, not based on daily rates. In any case, that housing payment is a new all-time record high. Payments have increased by 29% from a year ago, and that's an increase of $575 per month. And here's another way to look at this, because this is a 2023 in orange, here's 2022 in red, the blue line's 2021, and here's 2020. So average monthly housing payments more or less going straight up right here, which is what we saw back in 2022 through June last year. But the levels right now are far above 2021 and 2020 as well. Back in March of 2020, which is obviously pre-COVID, your average monthly housing payment was only $1,500 per month. Now it's $2,500 $563 per month. I also want to share with you guys new pending home sales. This is when a home seller accepts an offer from home buyer, moving from an active status to pending home sale status. So new pending home sales decreased by 16.1% compared to 2022. Look at this though, because in the first couple of months this year, more or less in January, we saw a surge in contracts being signed, but ever since then it has been more or less kind of flattening out here. A slight increase in contracts being signed over the past several weeks. And the current levels we have right now, which is 79,222 new pending home sales in the US, is far below the past several years as well, for 2020 through 2022. That's because back then at this time, there was around 95,000 new pending home sales. Now there's only 79,000. In regards to this decrease of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, I'm not just talking about one city, one neighborhood, or one state, because look at this. Pending home sales fell in every single one of the 50 most populous metros. They actually fell the most in Las Vegas, Nevada, down by 55% compared to 2022. Portland, Oregon, down by 47.5%. Riverside, down by 46.7%. Seattle, down by 45.4%. And Sacramento, California, where I live and work as a real estate agent, down by 45%. Meanwhile, new listings, which of course is when a home seller lists their home for sale, new listings decreased by 21.7% compared to 12 months ago. This is actually the biggest decline in 2 months, a decrease of almost 22%. So new listings, look at this. New listings again down by 21.7%, far below 2020 through 2022. It was increasing in January at a fairly healthy clip, but since then it has more or less kind of flattened out here, only a slight increase of new listings over the past month or so. What this means for our housing market is that we're missing approximately 20,000 new listings that should have hit the market, but have not. Right now, there's approximately 70,000 new listings. Compare this to 2022 at this time, there's approximately 89,000. Back in 2020, right before COVID hit, there was 95,000 new listings for the 4 weeks ended March 8th of 2020. Now again, there's just under 70,000. And again, just like I mentioned in previous videos, if our housing market was looking like this, where new listings were absolutely skyrocketing and housing supply was skyrocketing as well, our housing market would look a whole lot worse than it already has. And again, just like pending home sales, new listings are falling in each of the 50 most populous metros as well. So new listings decreased in all 50 of the most populous US metros. The biggest decreases were actually in Sacramento, down by 45.6%, Oakland, California, down by 44.5%, Portland, Oregon, down by 42%, as well as a decrease of 42% in San Jose, and Seattle, a decrease of 41%. In regards to active listings, which of course is housing supply, that increased by 18.2%, the smallest increase in 3 months. I have to say though, according to Realtor.com, they're reporting increases of active listings or housing supply, an increase of around 60%. Also, according to AltusResearch.com, they're reporting gains of around 75%. Whereas Redfin's reporting gains of only 18.2%. And speaking of the balance of supply and demand right now, the month supply is sitting at 3.2 months. This is up from 2 months from 1 year ago. Let's also discuss how fast or how slow houses are selling in the US, because days in the market, it's at 48 days right now. It's taking approximately 48 days to sell a house right now. This is actually 19 days slower compared to 2022. So it's taking approximately 3 weeks longer to sell a house right now compared to last year's levels. 48 days right now. This is actually above 2021 as well. Days in the market at this time in 2021 was 37 days. 2022, it was only about 29 days. Redfin is also reporting that only 23% of houses that sold above the seller's final list price. This, of course, means that approximately 77% sold at or below the seller's asking price. So the vast majority of houses that sold at or below the seller's final list price. But at 23% selling above the seller's asking price, this is more or less on par with 2020, but well below 2021. Back in 2021, that share was around 33%. And back in 2022, the share there was around 44%. Again, 44% selling over the seller's asking price. Now it's only 23%. Houses also continue to sell below the seller's asking price on average here because the average sale price to final list price ratio is at 98% right now. Meaning on average, home sellers sold their houses for 2% below their final asking price. This is more or less on par with 2020 when the ratio was also around 98%, but it's well below 2021 at 99%, just under 100%, and well below 2022 at this time when houses on average were selling for about 1% over asking. Now they're selling for about 2% below. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value to this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.